Reborn in Marvel, marrying Scarlet Witch unlocks overpowered treasures. Episode 21, The White Queen surrenders. After making the decision, Suemo no longer hesitated. Judging from the situation in the open space, the White Queen may die at the hands of these sentry robots at any time. In the open space, although his body's defense has been greatly improved after turning into diamond, he still cannot withstand the attack of the sentry robot, which is more than 10 times his size. After another collision, White Queen finally couldn't hold on anymore, and her body was directly shaken by huge amounts of force and flew backwards. At the same time, the two sentry robots behind her transformed their right hands into huge amounts of cone-shaped weapons. He poked the White Queen's body. At this time, the White Queen in the air also noticed the situation behind. But at this time, her body was completely numb from the successive collisions with the robots. There was no way to control his body flying backwards. It's over. At this moment, this thought flashed through White Queen's mind. Her most powerful ability is not inferior to Professor X's telepathy ability, but unfortunately, this ability is of no use to these robots. And her ability to become a diamond was also copied, making it impossible for her to defeat the robot. Simply, she gave up and closed her eyes. But 5 or 6 seconds passed, and there was no pain in the body. Slowly open your eyes. Suddenly, he saw a figure wearing black armor standing next to him. The arm that the sentry robot poked was held in the hand of the man in front of him, and it remained motionless no matter how hard the robot applied force. Sumo's hands holding the sharp ball closed together forcefully. The two sentry robots, which had transformed into diamond forms, collided violently and turned into pieces. Then Sumo's figure kept flashing in the open space. Less than half a minute, the dozen or so sentry robots in the clearing had been shattered into pieces. Saw this scene. White Queen's eyes lit up. These sentry robots that have forced themselves into a desperate situation are like children in the opponent's hands, showing no resistance at all. I am saved. Feeling relieved, White Queen's diamond-shaped skin returned to normal, thanks to her perseverance. The body sank suddenly. It was only then that she realized that she was floating in midair. After his body returned to normal, he fell hard to the ground. Pulling at the wound on her shoulder, she let out a low cry of pain. After finishing handling the robot, Suemo turned around, looked at the White Queen, who was gritting her teeth and screaming in pain, and put away the helmet. This was not what he meant to do. Originally, his mental psychokinesis had no problem controlling her diamond body, but after she exited the diamond transformation, the mental psychokinesis was unable to hold her and passed directly through her body. The White Queen showed a surprised look on her face when she saw Sumo's appearance. She didn't expect that the person who could completely torture these sentry robots would be such a young man in his 20s. He forced himself to sit up from the ground. She looked at Sumomo and said seriously, "Thanks. Thank you is more than just words. Can you still stand up?" After finishing speaking, Suemo watched the other party try hard to support himself with his arms, but failed both times. Suemo sighed. He stepped forward, picked up the White Queen from the ground, and flew away into the distance. New York, Brooklyn. In a Seaview villa owned by Suemo. As the White Queen groaned, the bullet left in her shoulder flew out from the wound. Tear off the clothes from the wound. Suemo opened the medicine box and took out the medicine and bandages. I don't think it needs to be that troublesome. As she spoke, the White Queen took off her top, leaving only her underwear. Isn't this more convenient? Sumo's face was stunned. After taking a deep look for a few times, he spread his hands. As long as you're happy. The White Queen opposite saw Sumo's expression and a smile appeared on her face. After bandaging the other party, Suemo stood opposite her. Luckily, the internal organs were not injured, but I need to rest for a while. White Queen lay on the sofa in a state of exhaustion, tilting her head and looking at Suemo opposite her. You seem to know me? As a mutant with telepathic abilities, it can be said that her grasp of micro-expressions is better than those of senior psychologists. Although she was unable to sense the other person's thoughts from beginning to end, but just from the way the other person looked at her, she concluded that the other person must know her. Suemo did not answer, but waved gently. A bottle of whiskey and 2 wine glasses flew out from the wine cabinet on the side. He reached out to take it and poured a glass for each of them. It's not important. The reason why I saved you is because you are of some use to me. It's that simple. After hearing this, White Queen's expression did not change much. As the person who was once second only to Black Emperor Shao in Hellfire, she naturally understood that it was impossible for the other party to risk his life to save her for no reason. Being able to save her means that she is worthy of taking action. At this time, the pain in the wound on her shoulder had subsided after applying medicine. He stood up from the sofa and walked to Suemo. It works? The White Queen's hand gently brushed Sumo's face, revealing a charming smile on his face. Is it as useful as I thought it would be? Half an hour later, after instructing the White Queen to recuperate in the villa, Sumo's figure rose from the ground. White Queen stood in front of the window of the villa, wiped the corners of her mouth, and looked at Suemo, disappearing into the sky. When she was in the jungle before, her telepathic ability could not sense the other person's presence. And just now, she tried it twice again, and the results were the same as before. It's not the same kind as Professor. Suemo was completely unable to feel the other person's presence. In comparison, his ability is even more terrifying than Professor X's. And judging from the recent contact, he not only has an extremely powerful physique, but also has the ability to control with his mind. Among all the mutants she knows, there seems to be no one more terrifying than him. This was also the reason why she decisively chose to surrender. Suemo flew in the sky, recalling the information he had received from the White Queen. A few years ago, White Queen Emma was targeted by Bolivar Teslax's Mutant Research Corporation. After fighting several times, she also realized that it was difficult for her to compete with the opponent's sentry robot, and then she chose to live in seclusion, avoiding the pursuit of the robot. But she didn't expect that some time ago, by chance, she was targeted by these robots again. This was the scene in the jungle before, and Suemo knew that the main reason why the other party was able to stay easily was the pressure the sentry robot put on the other party. Without her own shelter, I am afraid that Emma will become a member of the Mutant Research Laboratory before long. Of course, she must be the subject of research. Episode 22. Sarah Town, Vampire, New York State. On a country road leading to a small town, Suemo sat in the passenger seat of an ordinary Ford car with a relaxed expression and slowly closed the document in his hand. You don't seem surprised at all? Hill, who was driving the car, looked at Suemo, who looked normal, and asked in confusion. God knows how shocked she was after seeing what was recorded in this document. This is the legendary vampire. After Suemo heard this, he looked at Hill beside him with a smile. Believe me, among the enemies you will encounter in the future, this thing is not even ranked in the top 10 in terms of scariness. The information in his hand contains records about vampires, and the two of them appearing here together is of course Suemo fulfilling his promise and helping S.H.I.E.L.D. Since half a year ago, tourists began to disappear one after another in a small town in New York State. So far, hundreds of tourists have disappeared. S.H.I.E.L.D. once sent many agents here to investigate, but the final result was that they all disappeared mysteriously like those tourists. Even an 8th level agent dispatched last week also lost contact. In desperation, Nick Fury could only use up the only chance Suemo had promised to take action. After Suemo got the news, he set off with Hill. The agent who folded here did not gain anything at all. There was once an agent who sent the last message before disappearing. The message contained only 3 words, vampire. Suemo knew very well. The vampires in the Marvel world can only be regarded as a bunch of weaklings. There are not only 2 major weaknesses, fear of sunlight and silverware. Even the combat power is only slightly stronger than ordinary people. Even if an ordinary person is equipped with a long silver knife, he may be able to kill several empty-handed vampires with all his strength. This kind of combat power can only be regarded as cannon fodder in the Marvel world where superheroes are everywhere. According to Sumo's current strength, if he just stood here and let them bite him, they might not be able to hurt him at all, despite all their efforts. On the contrary, to him, these vampires represent a lot of points. If we can find the other party's lair and clean them, I'm afraid we can gain a lot. Soon, the car stopped in front of a hotel in a small town called Sarah. The small town of Sarah is located in northeastern New York State. Because of its ancient castle and hundreds of ancient buildings, it has become a famous tourist destination. With the number of tourists increasing year by year, it has gradually developed to this day and has become a prosperous town with a permanent population of nearly hundreds of thousands. Suemo walked out of the car, took off his sunglasses, and looked at the conical castles in the distance and the chronological buildings in the castle area, with a smile on his face. The scenery is not bad, it is indeed a suitable place for traveling. Hill got out of the car, then took out 2 slender boxes from the trunk with great effort, glanced at Suemo, and spoke wordlessly. Do you really think we are here for a trip? Although she is a well-trained 9th level agent, she still feels a little uneasy when facing the legendary vampire. It is completely impossible to be as relaxed and casual as Suemo, just like traveling. When Suemo heard this, he gave the other party a reassuring look. Then he looked at the slightly shabby hotel in front of him. Your funds are already so tight. Although it's not as good as staying in a star hotel, it's too perfunctory. Suemo reached out and pushed open the door, which had some mottled paint on it, and turned to look at Hill, who was carrying 2 boxes behind him. Why don't you consider changing your boss? I can double your salary. Although Hill is just an ordinary person, his ability in management and logistics is almost top-notch, and he is not disadvantaged by his subordinates. Okay, if you have this idea, I will contact you as soon as possible. Listening to the other party's perfunctory words, Suemo didn't take it seriously. The 2 came to the counter. Boss, open a room. After a while, the 2 of them entered a room on the 2nd floor, carrying their things. S.H.I.E.L.D. agents disappear here one after another. Obviously the other party is already very vigilant. The 2 of them came here, naturally, not with their real identities, but pretending to be a traveling couple. Naturally, only one room was opened. Hill placed the 2 boxes in his hands on the bed in the room. Enter the password on the keypad on the box. After a burst of pressure relief, the box slowly opened. Suemo looked into the box. It didn't take a guess to know that the box should contain some weapons for dealing with vampires. Although I don't know if it is useful, weapons can always bring people some sense of security. After Hill finished speaking, he handed the box in his hand to Suemo. After Suemo took it, he looked at the pile of weapons inside. The first is a silver long knife. It seemed to be made of some kind of alloy doped with silver. Suemo waved lightly, and a corner of the wooden bedside slowly slid down, and the cut surface was very smooth. I have to say that in terms of weapons and equipment, SHIELD still has something to offer. With a slight movement in his hand, the long knife disappeared from his hand, and then he continued to look into the box. Hill's eyes widened when he saw this scene. Then he stepped forward and grabbed Sumo's right hand that had just held the knife. Then he looked around for a few times and found no trace of the long knife. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Could it be that my eyesight is dazzled? Where are the things? Sumo moved his right hand slightly. The long knife suddenly appeared in his hand, and then disappeared again. You can understand it as some kind of special ability. Seeing Sumo perform again, Hill finally came to his senses. Oh my god, this is so amazing. Could it be that you are a mutant? Well, you can understand that. Sumo, who was too lazy to explain to the other party, responded casually. Then his eyes fell on the box in front of him again. In addition to the long knife, there are 3 other things in the box. A specially made pistol that fires silver bullets and comes with hundreds of bullets, several grenades emitting lavender light, and what looked like spray-type sunscreen. The pistol and bullets were put away without any surprise, and the grenade was easily guessed. It should be a special grenade that can release ultraviolet rays, but Sumo couldn't understand the last bottle of something that looked like sunscreen spray. Turning to look at Hill aside. What is this? Hill, who had already recovered, quickly opened his mouth to explain. This is a skincare spray that contains silver elements. According to them, spraying this spray on your body will make vampires lose any interest in you. Then what's the difference between this and garlic water? After Hill heard this, he looked stunned. After thinking for a moment, he said, the only difference may be that after spraying this thing, ordinary people will not treat you as an alien. Episode 23, Castle, Traces of Vampires. Give all the equipment to Sumo. Hill went to search for the traces left by the previous agent, leaving Sumo alone in the hotel. After all, it is their agent's job to investigate matters. But Sumo only provided military assistance. After the other party left, Sumo had nothing to do, so he walked out of the hotel and walked around the town. It's just May. It's the peak tourist season. Tourists carrying bags can be seen everywhere on the streets of the town. It seems that the government suppressed the disappearance of tourists. Sumo sighed. Otherwise, after receiving information about a large number of missing people, there would be no way there would be so many tourists. Wrong. He suddenly realized that if there were no people behind the scenes to interfere with it, the government would probably not choose to suppress the news. After all, there are hundreds of people. It is difficult enough just to block the mouths of these family members. Why would the government do such a thankless thing? In this case, it is likely that senior government officials are involved. After all, for those high-ranking officials, the temptation of eternal life is indeed attractive enough. Although it has the side effect of not being able to live in the sun, if you choose between death and simply not being able to see the light, no one will care about this small disadvantage anymore. Sumo was just like an ordinary tourist, wandering aimlessly in the town. A few hours later, the sky had gradually darkened, and he came to the area where the ancient buildings were located. This area is very large. It occupies almost half of the entire town. Several ancient castles located in the center of the ancient building complex are private areas and are not open to the public. Sumo was stopped as soon as he walked onto a road leading to the castle. Seeing this, he didn't insist anymore, but turned around and left. After walking to where the guards were looking, a set of armor suddenly appeared on him, covering his whole body. Then he moved and flew towards the castle. If we say that in this small town, the things most easily associated with vampires are the castles in front of us. After all, judging from the movies he has watched, vampires all live in castles. But the facts seemed to disappoint him. Checked out several castles in succession. Except for a few daily maintenance staff, no vampires with unusually pale faces were found inside. Because it was completely dark now, he had no way to confirm whether these people were vampires based on their appearance alone. He could only test them one by one. The test method is also very simple. Spray the bottle of liquid mixed with silver particles that Hill gave him to them. If there were vampires, they would obviously not remain indifferent. But the result is obvious, these people are really just ordinary people. Until his figure approached an ancient castle located in the center, a shout came from the room on the top floor of the castle. There's a situation. Sumo looked happy. Then the figure flashed and floated outside the window of the room where the shouting came from. Looking into the room, the one who screamed was a girl tied to a chair. In front of the girl stood an old man whose hair was half gray. At this time, the old man's hands were pulling the girl's clothes. Seeing that the girl's clothes had been torn off, only a set of white lace underwear was left. If you saw this scene in the movie, if someone jumped out to save the beauty at this critical moment, Sumo would probably greet this hero's ancestors for 18 generations. But in this reality, Sumo still chose to take action. A pistol filled with silver bullets appeared in his hand, pointed at the old man in the room, and he directly pulled the trigger. Bang! After a gunshot, a bloody hole appeared on the old man's head, and he slowly fell to the ground. Kill the villain, points plus 80, not a vampire? Looking at the blood flowing out of the other party's wound, Sumo sighed in disappointment. With a movement of his body, Sumo entered the room through the open window. With a slight wave of his hand, a flying knife flew out and cut the rope on the girl's body. In the process of cutting the rope, the flying knife accidentally touched the girl's skin. The girl seemed oblivious to this. It seems I'm too sensitive. When Sumo saw this, he thought to himself, put on your clothes, and I'll see you off. Then he stood up and stood in front of the window, looking at the scenery outside. Since he didn't meet any vampires, he planned to leave as soon as possible. Hill should be going back soon at this time. I wonder if she has gained anything there. The moment the Tide girl saw the flying knife, a strange color flashed in her eyes. When she heard that the other party was about to send her away, the girl did not put on her clothes in a hurry, but walked to Sumo. Are you a mutant? Looking at the girl standing in front of him, Sumo said coldly. This doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. Seeing that Sumo did not deny it, the girl grabbed his arm with both hands and said hurriedly, please, save my sister. As long as you can rescue my sister, I will agree to any conditions you have. After Sumo heard this, he was unmoved. I can send you to the police station later. You should ask them for help in this matter. Do good deeds to save people? That's what police officers are supposed to do. It doesn't matter if he saves people casually like this, but he has no interest in being a superhero. Hearing Sumo's words of rejection, tears flowed from the girl's eyes. I have already reported it to the police, but these police did nothing at all. Instead, they used it as a threat. As she spoke, her eyes fell on the dead old man beside her. This man is the chief of the police station. Hearing the girl's explanation, Sumo was speechless. As expected of a country of freedom, this director's operations are a bit shabby. Not only the criminals had to be shot several times, but also those who came to call the police. Who took your sister away? Those are not people, but monsters like vampires. After hearing her words, Sumo's expression changed. You mean she was taken by a vampire? Hearing this, the girl's eyes rekindled hope and she quickly wiped away her tears. I don't know if those monsters are vampires, but they look very similar to the vampires in the movie. Half an hour later, Sumo took the girl directly back to the hotel where they were staying. At the door, I happened to meet Hill, who was coming back from outside. Seeing Hill's doubtful eyes fall on the girl behind him, go back to your room and talk. Sumo explained and took the lead to walk upstairs. After returning to the room, Hill first took out a small instrument, checked the room, and confirmed that there was no eavesdropping equipment in the room before asking, "This is?" Sumo explained to Hill what happened before. "Where was your sister captured by those monsters?" Hill turned to the girl. "It was in a pub called the Irish Pub." "Is the Irish Pub in the east part of town?" The girl was stunned when she heard this, and then nodded quickly. Hill saw Sumo's confused look and explained, "I found some information left by the previous agent on the street today. It turns out that these people lost contact in this area, etc." Sumo looked at Hill with confusion. "Don't you agents know how to send messages or make phone calls, and yet you still use such a primitive way of transmitting information?" Hill spread his hands. "I'm not sure. The fact is that after those agents came here, they quickly lost contact. Only one agent ever sent a message, and that was the message related to vampires." Episode 24, Vampire Appears. Irish Pub. Located on a street in the east area of the town, the entire street is lined with all kinds of neon lights. Women in scantily clad clothes sit under the neon lights, waiting for customers to come. From time to time, someone would come up to ask about the price, and then drag the women into the back room. As Sumo walked, he looked at the scenery on both sides with great interest. "What, are you interested?" Seeing him looking around, Hill teased, "Are you interested in S.H.I.E.L.D. reimbursing me?" For a moment, Hill was speechless, but she also knew that both parties were just joking. How could a rich man with a net worth of hundreds of billions fall in love with these ordinary things? Soon, the two came to the door of the Irish Pub. It looks like a shabby bar from the outside, but once inside, it's a completely different place. The entire bar is underground. After entering the bar, there were not many people inside. What to do next? Looking at the huge amounts of hundreds of people walking around in the bar, coupled with the dim lights, there is no way to distinguish vampires from ordinary people. Well, hearing Sumo's inquiry, Hill was speechless for a moment. "You can't just come up and ask one by one." Seeing the other party's expression, Sumo sighed. "Forget it, I'd better do it." After saying that, Sumo put his hand into his pocket, and when he came out, there was a spherical object in his hand. It's the UV grenade in the previous box. Without any hesitation, he pressed the button on the grenade and threw it into the air in the center of the bar. "Close your eyes." After shouting at Hill, Sumo turned his head away from the direction of the grenade. Hill was shocked when he saw Sumo's actions. In this dim environment, not to mention vampires, even ordinary people would become blind within half a month if they were exposed to this, etc. But when her voice came out, the grenade had already been thrown away by Sumo. Seeing this, Hill imitated Sumo without hesitation. "Turn around and close your eyes." Bang! A moderate explosion came from the direction of the grenade. Then a violent bright light shot out from the location of the explosion. In an instant, the entire dark bar was illuminated as bright as day. "Ah!" Cries came from all directions. "Kill the villain, points plus 160. Kill the villain, points plus 210. More than a dozen reminders appeared in Sumo's mind. The points you get from killing vampires are very generous. Sumo's eyes lit up. Even under certain circumstances, these vampires are easier to kill than ordinary people, but the points are several times that of ordinary humans. When Hill opened his eyes, he immediately saw that almost everyone in the entire bar fell to the ground, covering their eyes and screaming. Sumo looked at Hill's gaze and shrugged. "Do you have a better way?" But the scope of this accidental injury is too large. Hill was speechless. "Don't worry, these people will recover soon, and they were accidentally injured during counterterrorism. Because of this, they can get a long period of paid leave. In total, there is no loss." Maybe they will thank me for it. After speaking, Suemo did not wait for the other party's answer, but rushed in one direction. Relying on psychokinesis, the scene around him just appeared clearly in his mind. In the explosion of the grenade, a dozen vampires hidden in the crowd were turned into ashes. Only the two vampires standing at the entrance of a corridor in the distance escaped because they ducked into the corridor in time. However, they are also burned by UV rays. At this time, with the help of a vampire who was not injured because he was in the corridor, he fled deeper into the corridor. After hearing Sumo's explanation, he showed a look of helplessness on his face. Then he shook his head and chased after the opponent's back. In the corridor, the two vampires, whose skin was burned, screamed in pain from time to time while running away. White smoke was rising from the burned areas of the skin. To recover from their injuries, they need enough blood. Although the hall is full of living humans, they are not stupid. Being able to take out ultraviolet grenades, a device specifically aimed at vampires, is obviously aimed at them. If they dare to enter the hall again, they may be turned into ashes like their companions in the hall before they can drink blood to recover from their injuries. While running, the three of them also heard the unhurried footsteps coming from behind. As the footsteps get closer, at the end of the corridor, Sumo's figure appeared. Looking at Suemo, who appeared behind the three of them almost instantly, the vampire who was not injured pushed the other two out. Go quickly, I'll stop him. After saying that, the woman turned to look at Suemo, opened her mouth and showed two sharp teeth, and roared at him. Come on, kid, I'm going to suck every drop of blood from your body. After saying that, the woman rushed towards Suemo. Just as he jumped in front of Suemo, he waved his right hand lightly a few times. The female vampire let out a scream. He suddenly fell in front of Suemo, his arms and legs already bent into an incredible shape. The female vampire who fell to the ground still opened her mouth tenaciously and roared at Suemo. That being said, you are very good at sucking. As he said that, the pistol filled with silver bullets appeared in Sumo's hand, and he stuffed it directly into the female vampire's roaring mouth. Seeing the opponent's arm slowly returning to its normal shape, he directly pressed the trigger. Bang! After a gunshot, the female vampire turned into ashes and dissipated. Kill the villain, points plus 180. Suemo put away the pistol. You are really good at it. I can only hold it for 3 seconds with my pistol. After dealing with the opponent, he continued to chase the other two. Judging from the situation of the fight just now, my guess was correct. These vampires are indeed a bunch of weaklings. Just now, I only used less than 100% of my strength, and the other party was unable to resist. When the two injured vampires heard the screams and gunshots coming from behind, the look of fear on their faces became even stronger. At the same time, footsteps sounded in the corridor again. The sound seemed to step on their hearts, making them almost breathless. After all, the vampire who had just blocked the opponent didn't even hold on for half a minute before he was eliminated by the opponent. If the two of them combined, they are probably not much stronger than the opponent. In panic, the two of them ran to the end of the corridor with all their strength, regardless of the pain in their bodies, and rushed into the elevator. Both hands were pressing the door close button frantically. Looking at the slowly closing elevator door, the two of them let out a sigh of relief at the same time. Seeing that the last gap in the elevator door had disappeared, and the elevator was about to start, the door opening button on the side suddenly lit up. The closed elevator doors reopened. Wardfa, the two people's hearts dropped again. He hurriedly pressed the door close button again. As the door gradually closed, the door open button lit up again. Fake. The two of them were already on the verge of collapse. If I were allowed to escape, I would definitely find the elevator installer and tear him into pieces. I'm afraid you won't have this chance. Sumo's ghostly figure appeared outside the elevator door. Episode 25. Trap. Suemo stepped into the elevator. The desire to survive prompted the two vampires to muster up the courage to pounce. However, after a few punches, the two of them recognized the reality and became honest. Lifting a vampire from the ground. Tell me where your lair is. You. Poof. Suemo pulled out the long knife from the opponent's chest and saw that the opponent turned into ashes under his gaze. Then he lifted the other one up. I said, our base is underneath this bar. Before Suemo could speak, the vampire hurriedly spoke. Then he pressed the buttons on the elevator floor several times regularly. A hole opened under the buttons, and a button marking the second floor slipped out. Coincidentally, Hill also caught up from behind at this time. What the other party said fell into her ears. I seem to be a little late. No, you came just in time. After saying that, Suemo inserted the knife in his hand into the vampire's chest. After pressing the new button that appears in the elevator, there was a strong feeling of weightlessness, and the elevator descended for half a minute. This also convinced the two of them that the so-called negative second floor was at least hundreds of meters away from the negative first floor. Bite. As the elevator door opened, there was a dark room outside. There are hundreds of figures standing in the file-sized hall of several hundred square meters. Among these people were several tied-up girls. The girls' wrists were cut open. Streams of blood flowed from their wrists. As if they were having a part, the vampires around him took turns to come forward. Several girls had died due to excessive blood loss, Hill stared at the scene in front of her that made her visibly uncomfortable. Surprisingly, perhaps because this place was too secretive, these people were unprepared and indifferent to the arrival of the two. It wasn't until half a minute later that the two vampires near the elevator noticed the two people walking out of the elevator. After seeing the appearance of the two people, the eyes of the two vampires, a man and a woman, lit up at the same time. Then he rushed towards the two of them. Seeing this scene, Hill finally couldn't help it. He took out his pistol from his pocket and shot the two vampires with two casual shots. Huge amounts of gunfire echoed through the underground space. All the vampires in the hall paused and turned to look in the direction of the two of them. Looking at Agent Hill holding a gun, these vampires immediately reacted. He roared angrily and rushed towards this side. Sue Mo, who was shocked by this big scene, also reacted. Block Hill behind you. Sue Mo looked at the figures rushing over one after another, howling in anger. A bunch of damn scum. Your dark behavior must be exposed. As he spoke, an ultraviolet grenade appeared in his hand and he threw it casually. After a while, dazzling light filled the entire space. Exposure, plus 1000. Almost instantly, these vampires are burned to ashes by the light. When the light disappeared, almost all the vampires in the entire space disappeared. Only a few who reacted quickly and hid behind the support pillars survived. Hill let out a sigh of relief. After this mission is over, I think I need to receive some psychological treatment. Maybe you need to vent more. After saying that, Sue Mo handed the silver knife to the other party. Hill reached out and took it. He rushed directly towards the surviving vampires. Although these vampires survived, the strong light in the room still burned their skin. At this time, they were in Hill's hands and had almost no power to resist. In less than 5 minutes, all these vampires were reduced to ashes. Sue Mo took the lead and walked towards the passage across the hall. Walk along the passage to the end and there is another elevator. The protection here is quite tight. When there was no one left alive this time, Sue Mo took out his sword made of adamantium and slashed the elevator door to pieces with 3 or 2 strokes. You wait here, I'll go down and check the situation first. After saying that, Sue Mo jumped up and jumped directly from the dark elevator shaft. Landing gently on the top of the elevator, Sue Mo made a hole under his feet and fell into the elevator. After exiting the elevator, there is a corridor less than 10 meters long. At the end of the corridor is a metal gate. Just as he walked to the door slowly opened automatically, revealing the scene behind the door. In a dark hall, there were a circle of pale vampires sitting around them. On the altar in the middle of these vampires, a girl of 17 or 18 years old was tied up. The girl's appearance is exactly the same as that of the girl who was rescued from the castle before. Sue Mo instantly guessed that this should be the girl's sister. Judging from the circle of vampires sitting around, they seemed to be performing some kind of ritual. There was no hesitation. Sue Mo changed his hand to the special pistol, raised the muzzle, and fired in bursts. Although I don't know what the other party is doing, as an enemy, as long as the other party wants to do something, I only need to stop the other party without thinking. And it must be right. But obviously, these vampires should have a certain status in the vampire community. The strength is not comparable to those of vampires outside. After a flexible jump, they dodged the silver bullets fired at them. Then the group of vampires showed their sharp teeth and rushed towards Sue Mo. Sue Mo remained unmoved. He stretched out his fingers on his right hand and flicked them in the air. The bullets that the vampire had dodged drew an arc, turned around, and shot in their direction again, and the speed is at least doubled compared to before. The unsuspecting vampires were shot through by bullets in an instant and turned into ashes. Just as Sue Mo was about to step onto the high platform, his eyes paused. A flying knife flew out of his hand and cut the rope on the girl's body. Then the girl was dragged away from the high platform by her clothes. The unconscious girl also woke up after all this tossing. She looked at Sue Mo, who was holding her in confusion. Who are you? Seeing that the other party seemed fine, Sue Mo put him down. I was entrusted by your sister to save you. After the girl heard this, her face showed confusion. Elder sister? My parents only have one daughter, me. Where can I get a sister? Hearing this, Sue Mo looked stunned, and then his expression changed. Oops. As he spoke, he mentioned that he was going to fly outside, but it's still a little too late. The surrounding walls were instantly wrapped in a black energy. A woman who looked the same as the girl next to him slowly landed from the sky. It's too late to leave now. Episode 26, Dark Witch Agatha. As the woman slowly landed, an astonishing change took place in her appearance. By the time she landed not far in front of the two of them, she had transformed into a middle-aged woman who looked to be in her 50s and was wearing a black robe. Who are you anyway? Sue Mo looked at the other party cautiously. Judging from the situation, the other party seems to be a witch. At present, what he is least willing to face is these mysterious opponents. These people have all kinds of strange methods, and it is very likely that there will be situations that they cannot handle. The woman opposite saw Sumo's expression and a smile appeared on her face. Me? I've been alive for so long that I almost forgot my original name. Let me think about it. There was a trace of memory on the witch's face. After a moment, she suddenly came back to her senses and spoke excitedly. "Oh, I remembered, you can call me Agatha." Agatha. Sumo's expression changed. He is naturally no stranger to Agatha, who can be considered the most powerful black magician in the Marvel world. Later, the Chaos Force tried to capture Wanda. Although it failed in the end, it cannot deny the strength of the other party's black magic. Were all the people who disappeared in this town caused by you? Of course not, to be precise, it was these lowly vampires who did it. Agatha shook her head. My only goal is this little girl, but now, she is of no use to me, because there is a more suitable candidate than her. After saying that, Agatha's eyes fell on Sumo, and then she took action without warning. A ball of black energy shot out of her hand and shot towards Sumo. Sumo flashed and dodged to the side. At the same time, several flying knives flew out of his body. The moment he dodged, a purple space gate appeared in his path. Sumo had no time to dodge and fell directly into the space door. Unexpectedly, the space door leads to the center of the altar, just a few meters away. Not good. Sumo's expression changed, and he immediately flew towards the outside of the altar. But Agatha, who had been prepared for a long time, obviously couldn't let him get his wish. A transparent energy barrier appeared around the altar, covering him and the altar. Sumo clenched his fist with all his strength and struck towards the barrier. After a violent shock, a spiderweb-like crack appeared on the barrier. However, the cracks were repaired in an instant. Seeing this scene, Agatha's face was not surprised, but happy. Sure enough, this body not only has a long lifespan, but is also as strong as the Hulk. As long as you occupy this body, not only will you not have to worry about the aging of your body for hundreds of years to come, but you will also be able to make up for the weakness of the wizard's body. Okay. Haha, a maniacal laugh burst from Agatha's mouth. When Sumo heard what the other party said, he immediately understood. Wizards and mages are the same. Although they are powerful, they have various methods, but lifespan doesn't change much. Even those as powerful as the Supreme Mage Ancient One need to draw power from the dark dimension to extend their lifespan. As a wizard, Agatha is no exception. Judging from what she said, it was obvious that the other party could not extend his life by drawing power from the dark dimension like the Ancient One mage, but instead adopted another method to extend his life. That's the way to seize the body, etc. Sumo suddenly realized. You mean, you, a woman, want to take away my man? Agatha's laughter stopped. Don't worry, after my soul enters your body, I can reshape your body into mine. Damn it, you a woman want to enter a man's body. It is simply the opposite of Tiangang. The most unbearable thing is that the other party wants to transform his body into hers. At this time, Agatha had already begun to seize the body. The deep purple lines on the altar at Sumo's feet gradually lit up, and Agatha slowly floated directly above the altar, uttering a series of difficult to understand spells. Seeing this scene, Sumo no longer held back. Just now, he was able to crack the shield with just his physical strength. With the blessing of psychokinesis, it is not difficult to break the shield. At that moment, a layer of battle armor was put on his arms. Sumo's body rose into the sky, and his fist, with hundreds of tons of force, hit the top of the protective shield. It sounded like a bubble bursting. The protective shield didn't even last for half a second before it turned into purple energy and dissipated. Sumo rushed toward Agatha in the air with undiminished momentum. Agatha, who was reciting a spell, obviously did not expect this scene to happen. There was a look of panic on her face, and she was about to move aside as soon as her body moved. But compared to Sumo, the speed is really too slow. Almost instantly, Sumo's fist was about to hit Agatha. At the critical moment, dark purple energy overflowed from Agatha's body, forming a protective shield around her body again. But the protective shield shattered almost instantly under Agatha's hopeful gaze. Sumo's fist hit her without any resistance. No. Amidst a scream, Agatha's old body exploded into a mist of blood. Sumo didn't have time to relax. A black shadow rushed out of the blood mist. It sank directly into Sumo's eyebrows. Where Agatha's body was originally, a book exuding black energy floated slowly. It is obviously the dark book controlled by Agatha. Less than 5 seconds. The dark god book also turned into a stream of light, following Agatha and sinking into Sumo's eyebrows. The moment Agatha's soul entered Sumo's body, Sumo's eyes became dull. After losing control of his body, he fell from the sky. Fortunately, with his current physical fitness, let alone such a height of only 10 meters, even from a height of hundreds of meters, falling would not cause much harm to him. After Agatha's body was destroyed, the dark energy shrouding the entire hall gradually dissipated. Hill's figure opened the door and rushed in. Looking at Sumo lying on the ground, Hill quickly stepped forward and helped him up. The girl hiding aside also hurriedly stepped forward to help. What's going on? Extending his hand to touch Sumo's breath, Hill turned to ask the girl beside him. The girl recounted what happened in the hall before. After listening, Hill's expression changed. Damn it, the witch took the body. From the girl's retelling, she instantly understood the current situation. What to do? Hill, who could remain calm no matter how vicious the gangsters were, suddenly became a little flustered. Deal with these mysterious things. She had no experience to draw from. Episode 27. Sidhorn, God of the Underworld. It doesn't matter if you destroy my body, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Agatha's soul originally rushed into Sumo's sea of consciousness with a shout of triumph. However, when she saw the star tower in the middle of the sea of consciousness, which seemed to be in another space, her voice stopped abruptly. The aura emanating from the star tower made the hairs on her body explode. His eyes carefully looked at the star tower and Sumo standing under the star tower. Boy, you really surprised me. I didn't expect you to have such a treasure in your body. Having said this, Agatha stretched out her hand and waved it gently. The Book of Darkness appeared in her palm. However, everything is in vain, nothing can resist me. With the dark book in hand, Agatha regained her confidence. Sumo took a look at the pure black book exuding black energy in the other person's hand. He knew very well that this was just a copy of the Dark God book, but the content was basically the same as what was originally recorded. Sometimes, being too conceited is not a good thing. I hope you can still be so tough talking later. After Agatha finished speaking, the dark book in her hand emitted a stream of pure dark energy, which turned into tentacles and wrapped around Sumo's body. Look at each other with pity in your eyes. Be obedient and give your soul. She knows the power of the dark book better than anyone else. It not only records all the black magic created by Sid Horn, but also after a long period of time, coupled with long-term contact with many black magicians, the Dark God Book has turned into a powerful treasure. With the blessing of the Dark Book, her black magic release speed and power can be doubled. The moment the Divine Book releases dark energy, the star tower suspended above Sumo's head seemed to be disturbed. The 9th level vortex rotating outside the tower shook slightly. A strange wave of energy seemed to be transmitted from another space and swept towards the location of Agatha and the Dark God Book. The tentacles that stretched out from the Dark Book disappeared as if they were annihilated the moment they came into contact with this energy. Agatha's expression changed when she saw this. With his hands waving, more dark energy overflowed from the Divine Book and turned into tentacles to resist the energy released by the vortex. But these tentacles can't slow down the speed of energy at all. Almost in the blink of an eye, the energy arrived in front of Agatha. No! In a miserable cry, Agatha's soul disappeared directly into Sumo's sea of consciousness, like those tentacles. After the energy swept away, only the Dark Book of Darkness was left floating slowly. Seeing the Dark Divine Book left in place, Sumo's eyes lit up. Sumo was not surprised that the Star Tower could crush the opponent. No matter how you say it, it is at least a God King level weapon. How could even a witch not be able to resist it? He took 2 steps forward, stretched out his hand, and was about to put away the Book of Darkness. Although the frontal combat effectiveness of the devouring system is extremely strong, it is still somewhat weak in the early stages of facing these magical enemies. If he can control the Dark God Book, he will undoubtedly be able to make up for his shortcomings in this area. This is the Divine Book opposite to the Book of the Holy Trinity Weishan Emperor. It can be said to be the existence at the top of magic in this world. However, just when Sumo was about to touch the Dark Divine Book, the Star Tower at the center of the consciousness sea trembled, and the Dark Divine Book turned into a stream of light and sank into the Star Tower, as if it had received some kind of summons. The moment the Dark God Book sank into the Star Tower, in some dark dimension, Sid Horn, the god of the underworld, who was sleeping so huge that he couldn't see the edge, suddenly opened his eyes. My power. At this moment, he felt that the power in his body was being rapidly withdrawn. The speed was so fast that in less than 2 breaths, 1/10 of the power in his body had been drained away. Feel it carefully. Is this a believer borrowing my power through black magic? As the god of Hades, the creator of black magic, all those who use black magic need to borrow his power in order to successfully release it. Of course, as a price, after using his power, it will be gradually eroded by his power. Until the end, his soul was completely devoured by him. And the soul is the source of the evolution of their power. Wrong. Sid Horn shot down the possibility almost instantly. Even if millions of the most powerful black magicians release magic at the same time, the consumption rate cannot reach this level. No time to think. Sid Horn quickly cast a spell, intending to block the leakage of power within his body. After all, according to the speed of this energy extraction, he would not be able to hold on for even half a minute before he would be drained directly. When the time comes, he, the god of Hades, will probably become a laughingstock in the Mephisto world if he dies because he borrowed the power of believers and was drained of his energy. For a moment, Sithorn's expression suddenly changed. No, it's impossible. A crazy roar came from his mouth. He just tried it and found that no matter how he cut off the connection with the other party, the speed of the loss of dark energy in his body did not change at all. This was the first time this happened, causing Sithorn's brain to shut down for a moment. The black magic he created borrowed his magical energy. Of course it is up to him to decide whether to borrow or not. But what is the situation now? Even without his permission, energy was pouring out crazily. This is not borrowing, this is robbery, Sithorn held angrily. However, as one of the 4 oldest ancient gods, Sithorn calmed down almost instantly. The top priority now is to save his own life first. Think of this. Sithorn's huge body composed of dark energy was surrounded by a huge purple magic circle. The endless dark energy around him poured into his body like a tide, making up for the energy he consumed. His current location is the underworld he created after countless years. This world is full of dark energy, which can be directly absorbed by him. with a crazy influx of energy. Only then can he barely maintain the flow of energy in his body and maintain it in a balanced state. After temporarily stabilizing the situation, Sithorn had time to sense towards the heavens and the world. Damn bastard, don't let me find you, or your soul will be burned in the flames of hell for millions of years. I don't know how much time passed. Found you. Sithorn made a sound of excitement. Then consciousness descended into Sumo's world. With his ability, he can possess the body of anyone in this world at will. After possessing him, he can exert 1% of his ability, but he didn't think that in this state, he could deal with enemies who forcibly plundered his energy. Wandage Mountain, Temple of Darkness. On the rock wall carved with complicated patterns, waves of dark energy overflowed. Finally, a black book condensed in mid-air, which was the original Dark Divine Book. At the same time, a black space door slowly opened in the cave. Under the control of Sithorn, the Dark Book of Darkness disappeared into a space door opened in front of it. Episode 28. Two Dark God Books. In the underground space of the bar, Sumo slowly woke up. After the copy of the Dark God Book was taken into the Star Tower, he tried various methods, but could not take it out. In desperation, I can only give up. After all, strictly speaking, Agatha was also killed by the Star Tower, and this was also the spoils of the Star Tower. See Suemo wake up. Hill and the girl on the side were not happy but reacted with surprise. Take a few steps back to distance yourself from him. Hill even took out his pistol and pointed it at Suemo opposite. Who are you? The witch's soul had entered Sumo's body, and they were not sure whether the person standing in front of them was Suemo himself or the witch who had successfully seized the body. Don't worry, the witch has been completely eliminated, Suemo replied listlessly. Sitting back and watching the Book of Darkness slip away from his hands, he still felt somewhat depressed. How do you prove it's you? Hill didn't believe him because of these simple words, and the muzzle of the gun in his hand did not move away. Well, faced with such a niche language, Suemo thought for a long time, and finally spread his hands helplessly. Okay, how do you need me to prove it? Hill was also stumped by this question. After thinking about it for a while, he asked, what color was my dress when we first met? As she spoke, she seemed to be too hot due to strenuous exercise. She casually took off her coat, wearing only a fitness suspender top underneath. Show off your proud figure without reservation. When Suemo saw this, he couldn't help but take a few more glances, of course only with admiration. At the same time, I recalled it in my mind. The development of his mental power has made his memory dozens of times that of ordinary people, almost to the extent that he never forgets his mistakes. Black. Hill nodded. I believe you for now. After saying that, he turned around and walked outside. We'd better get out of here as soon as possible before other vampires arrive. Suemo looked at the other person's back and followed him in 2 steps. You're so careless. Do you believe me when I say it? He thought he needed to explain a lot, but he didn't expect Hill to believe it after simply verifying it. Hill turned to look at him. It has nothing to do with the question you answered, she explained while putting her coat back on. Just now you glanced at my chest 6 times inadvertently. I don't think witches would be interested in my figure. Hearing this, Suemo was stunned and secretly admired in his heart. You can still play like this, you are worthy of being a professional agent. However, I think Ms. Hill, you are still a little hasty. Do you need to verify it a few more times? Several people took the elevator back to the lower level of the bar. After what happened before, the bar was now empty. Just when they were about to leave, in midair next to it, a space door slowly opened. The Dark Divine Book controlled by Sithorn flashed and disappeared into Sumo's eyebrows. Come again? Suemo only had time to utter a complaint before he closed his eyes and fainted again. Fortunately, Hill reacted quickly and supported him directly. The rescued girl helped Hill put Suemo on the seat beside him. After hesitating for a moment, she turned to look at Hill. Did he open a bookstore in his head? Hill was a little helpless when he heard this. In such a short time, a witch and 2 books had entered Sumo's mind. Maybe, in the sea of knowledge. After the Dark God Book entered here, it rushed directly towards the Star Tower without any pause. The closer the distance is, the more clearly Sithorn can perceive where his power is flowing. As we get closer and closer to the Star Tower, in Sithorn's eyes, the Star Tower is getting bigger and bigger, and the distance between the two seems to be getting farther and farther. Damn it, what the hell is this? Feeling that the dark book he controlled became smaller and smaller in front of the Star Tower, Sithorn understood that if he continued, he would probably never reach the location of the tower in front of him. He gritted his teeth hard. Sithorn controlled the Dark God Book and returned towards the original path. At this time, he also clearly understood that the opponent's strength was superior to his. If he continues, this part of his consciousness will probably be lost here. Noticing that the other party wanted to escape, there was finally a strange movement on the Star Tower. A ray of light shot out from the top of the Star Tower and illuminated the dark book. No, it was as if the ice and snow were melting. Sithorn's consciousness attached to it was instantly erased. The genuine Dark God Book that was left behind turned into flowing light again and submerged into the Star Tower. Suemo on the side saw the scene. I was secretly shocked. Judging from the simple appearance of the previous Dark God Book, it is easy to infer that it is the genuine Dark God book. Judging from the time point, at this time, the person who can freely control the Dark Book is probably Sithorn, the god of the underworld. Is this god of hell so stingy? After reading his pirated books, you came to the door to find someone to settle the score? But what if Agatha has watched it for hundreds of years? Sue-Mo, who couldn't figure out the key, simply ignored it and went directly to the Star Tower. No, brother, let's discuss it. The two books are almost the same. You can keep one copy for me. The pirated version is fine, I won't pick it. But the Star Tower in front of him seemed indifferent. Standing in front of the Star Tower, Sue-Mo tried to communicate with the Star Tower. No matter what he said, it was a treasure that he recognized as his owner. He had to give his owner some face, but it turned out that he didn't have enough face, or there was no intelligence at all in the Star Tower. He kept chattering in front of the tower for a long time, but there was no response from the Star Tower. Sue-Mo had no choice but to retreat from inside. Traumatized. In an ancient hall, on a circular platform in the center, hanging the most powerful magic weapon in the Supreme Sanctuary, the Eye of Agamotto. The moment Sithorn mobilized the Book of Darkness, the Eye of Agamotto slowly opened, and a burst of magical energy centered on it and spread out to the surroundings. Oops, Lao Wang, who was standing by, changed his expression. Before he could send a signal, a portal opened, and the figure of the Supreme Mage Ancient One walked out of it. The Ancient One who came out waved his hand lightly, and the Eye of Agamotto was automatically placed around her neck. He pinched out a seal in his hand, and a stream of information was transmitted into the mind of the Ancient One. After a while, Ancient One slowly opened his eyes. Lao Wang, who was waiting anxiously aside, finally came forward. What's going on? The Ancient One slowly placed the Eye of Agamotto back on the shelf. Just now Emperor Weishan sensed the breath of Hades in this world, and used the Eye of Agamotto to remind us. Hades? Hearing this name, a trace of emotion flashed in Lao Wang's eyes. That's Sithorn, one of the 4 ancient gods, who is several times more powerful than Domu. That's right. Ancient One nodded. It's a pity that after only sensing it for a moment, the other party disappeared from the earth again. I don't know whether he left or hid. Having said this, she looked at the murals of the New York sanctuary carved on the walls of the temple. Next, I'm afraid the whole earth will be in chaos. Episode 29. The Secret Method of Phantom Magic. Hades, damn bastard, you robber. The whole world vibrated with Sithorn's roar. Don't blame him for being angry. He took the Dark God book to the other party to discuss it, but he didn't expect that even part of his consciousness would be destroyed by the other party this time. This also caused some damage to his body. Moreover, his connection with the Dark God book has been completely severed. It wasn't until half an hour later that the entire underworld gradually calmed down. It's not that Sithorn has calmed down, but just now, the suction force in his body has doubled. Now the speed of his energy absorbing can't match the speed of the opponent's absorption. If this continues, he will soon be sucked dry by the other party. Judging from the fight just now, the Dark Book controlled by it has almost no resistance in the opponent's hands. Although it is only a part of the consciousness attached to it, if you think about it from another perspective, if it were facing up, it would not be able to be solved so neatly. This shows that the opponent's strength is definitely above it. Going directly to the other party to fight for your life will definitely not work. If the strength is at the same level, it is called desperate. If someone like him rushes forward, it is called delivering food. Plan for today. He can only try his best to plunder the energy in the underworld crazily. In this way, although the energy in his body is also in a state of being unable to make ends meet, it is estimated that he can last for several months. He could only pray that the other person would stop before he was sucked dry. When Sue-Mo woke up, he found that he had been moved to the car outside. You're awake. The rescued girl on the side looked at him with joy. Sue-Mo looked around and found that there were only 2 of them in the car. Where's Hill? Over there. The girl pointed in one direction and said. Following her gaze, Sue-Mo realized that the bar was already surrounded by police cars. Hill was explaining something to the leading police officer. The girl seemed to be very interested in Sue-Mo. After all, in a sense, this can be regarded as a hero saving a beauty. Through the other party's introduction, Sue-Mo also knew her name, Gemma Simmons. He grew up in New York and is currently pursuing a PhD in chemistry at the State University of New York. This time I came to the town of Sala for tourism, but I didn't expect to encounter such a thing. Can I contact you later? Simmons asked expectantly. Seeing the expectant look in his eyes, Sue-Mo was embarrassed to refuse and nodded immediately. Then the two exchanged phone calls. Sure. Just at this time, Hill opened the car door and got in. It seems that only 2 rooms are enough for tonight. Sue-Mo ignored the other party's joke and asked, what about the rest of the fish that slipped through the net? Hill shook his head after hearing this. At present, there is no good way. It is impossible to get rid of these vampires, but after this incident, they should be more restrained in the future. Hearing this, Sue-Mo nodded in agreement. The number of vampires in this world is so huge that it is impossible to completely clean them up. As long as a few fish slip through the net, it won't take long for them to spread again like zombies. But it seems that in the memory, the Book of Darkness contains a spell that can wipe out all vampires at once. After all, if he remembered correctly, it seemed that the origin of vampires was related to the Dark Book. This is why Agatha is able to control these vampires. It is a pity that the Dark God Book was taken into the Star Tower. Otherwise, if you learn it yourself, you can probably get a lot of points by killing all the vampires at once. Open them all and look at the price of the Dark God book. 50 million points. Alright. It is simply impossible to collect so many points in a short period of time. Hill drove his car and parked it outside the hotel, then took out a confidentiality agreement from somewhere and handed it to Simmons. Sign this, and you won't be able to mention anything about what happened this time. Simmons took the confidentiality agreement and opened it in no hurry. Instead, he asked, I don't know what organization you belong to. Are there any requirements for joining? Can I join? You want to join us? Hill obviously did not expect the other party to ask this question. That's right, I can get my PhD in chemical physics in 2 months. Simmons quickly explained. After hearing this, Hill's eyes changed. In SHIELD, in addition to agents like them who are combat units, various research and logistics personnel are also needed. The opponent's doctorate in the field of chemistry is indeed a scarce talent in SHIELD. After thinking for a moment, think about it carefully. If you really want to, come with me back to the headquarters tomorrow. Is it really possible? After Simmons heard this, he glanced at Suemo secretly, and then jumped up excitedly. But she seemed to have forgotten that she was sitting in the car at this time. After a thud sound, Simmons covered his head and plunged it down. After a night's rest, early the next morning, the three of them set off and left the town. New York, Brooklyn. White Queen is lying lazily on the lounge chair in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows on the second floor. It seems like you're doing pretty well these days. Suemo walked in from the door and joked. Hearing this voice, the White Queen turned her head. Indeed, apart from being a little boring, there is nothing wrong with it. Believe me, you will miss this kind of life very much in the next period of time. Looks like I'm going to be useful. Certainly, Suemo nodded and stepped forward. However, before that, your ability still needs to be strengthened. With a wave of his hand, several pages of paper appeared in his hand, and then he handed them to the White Queen. What is recorded above is a technique he selected from among the techniques in his mind. A technique specifically used to cultivate spiritual power, Phantom Demon. It is a secret training method belonging to the lineage of masters and illusionists. These include the God Forging technique, that improves mental strength, the Dream Entering technique, that can create illusions, and the Soul Mark cultivation method. Soul Seal is the foundation of the illusionist lineage. It is also the powerful foundation of the illusionist lineage, enslaving all things. Any creature with intelligence can be enslaved by the Soul Mark. In Sumo's opinion, they all belong to the same lineage of spiritual power. The White Queen's telepathy is somewhat similar to the illusionist's ability, and she should be considered a gift. There's no reason why you can't practice these secret techniques. Of course, only half of the content is recorded here, but this is enough for White Queen Emma to practice for a long time. Emma took the paper from Sumo's hand doubtfully. She doesn't think that just relying on the contents of a few pages of paper can greatly improve her strength. After a few casual glances, her eyes lit up. His expression gradually became serious. As she watched more and more content, her breathing became rapid, and a blush appeared on her face due to excitement. Oh my god, this is really shocking. Are all the things recorded on this true? After reading what was recorded above, White Queen looked at Suemo with bright eyes. Of course, I have no intention of lying to you with things that I can tell are true and false just by trying them. Oh, by gauze. The excited White Queen seemed a little incoherent. Then, she directly hung her hands around Sumo's neck, looking at each other with smiling eyes. My dear, I don't quite understand some of this. Can you go to the room and discuss it? Suemo heard this and glanced at the floor-to-ceiling window on the side. I think it's great here. Episode 30, Catalog of Gods and Demons, Psychokinesis Increase. After Suemo gave me everything he had to teach me, Emma couldn't wait to enter the room to practice this secret technique. Suemo came to another villa less than 2 kilometers away. It is Wanda and Pietro who live here. The reason why the White Queen is placed here is also to protect Wanda and the others. Emma relies on her telepathy ability to pay attention to everything here at any time. As soon as he walked into the villa, he saw Pietro doing a frog leap with a barbell on the grass outside the villa. After nearly a month of exercise and the nourishment of ferocious beast meat, now Pietro's strength has reached more than 800 kilograms, and he is not far away from reaching the level of a quasi-warrior. Carrying more than 200 pounds of barbell, he still moves with ease. Reaching out to wipe the sweat from his face, Pietro inadvertently saw Suemo walking in. His eyes lit up, he threw the barbell on his shoulder, and came up and gave Suemo a hug. Hey, Sue, you're finally back. Suemo smiled and patted the other party's shoulder.